Hi everyone, I am Rajesh Kumar. I am having close to 16 plus years of experience in DevOps, SRE and DevSecOps. I have worked with more than 12 software organizations around the globe. I would like to introduce you all a DevOps School's flagship certification program in DevOps, SRE and DevSecOps. This program will get started in the weekends, so get enrolled. Please contact us on the phone number given on the screen, and in fact you can email us on the contact at the rate of devopsschool.com. Okay, so what is Rancher? So the flow is very simple. If you want to uh, get onboarded with uh, container world, then first you have to learn Docker, and I assume you know that. After that, you have to learn Docker and then creating a Docker image. That also you know that. Then you should know Docker Compose, and I'm assuming that you know that. The next problem which you have is Kubernetes, and you are knowing that. The next to Kubernetes, you should know Helm, and that also you know that. And after that, you have to learn some tool which can help organizations to manage multiple Kubernetes. So if you look at the organizations, uh, they have, let's say, 10 team, 10 product, and each product team they required at least three Kubernetes clusters, correct? So dev, one QA, one production, something like that. So that way, if you have a 10 team, so 30 clusters. So here is the 30 clusters. You have Kubernetes clusters. Think about for the enterprise perspective. Now the question is, how do we manage it? How to manage? Okay, that is something. How to upgrade? Okay, how to control access control, how to deploy CI/CD DevOps applications for the each cluster, for the each team product, because we are running everything right now in the container world, right? So how to do that, right? And that is where, if you think about in a simple way, this is the one software you need it which can manage a lot of clusters, upgrade process, access, CI/CD applications, registry, private registry, and many more things. And that is where that one category of software which is coming, and that is called, you know, Kubernetes management platform, you can say, or you can say container enterprise solution or something like that, you can say. So many products we have in the market for this. One of the product which we have, Rancher. I think you have heard about the OpenShift. PKS from virtual from VMware. So many products we have. I'm teaching you Rancher in this course. Got it? So understanding multi Kubernetes management core, Rancher concept and architecture. This I'm covering right now. So is multi Kubernetes management is a real thing? So look at this here. 76% of enterprise will standardize on Kubernetes within 3 years. And look at the adoption of Kubernetes over the period of time. It's always growing. If you look at the demand for the demand for the Kubernetes is always growing. And if you see that the container used is also growing, look at this here. So if you look at it, how many people are using container management system. So here, if you see that this is where that Rancher will come into the picture. So there are so many software available. I talk about the OpenShift, Rancher, and this one, what to say, uh, PKS. Others are also available, but I would not say these are the complete feature for it because let's say EKS is not, you cannot compare with Rancher. Okay, this is a GK, you cannot compare with Rancher because this mode of software itself is different. Rancher, you can deploy the Kubernetes cluster on EKS, GK, AKS, or every places. Using EKS, you cannot do that. So yeah, there's a look at this. These are the container management platform is being used. So multi-cloud in the enterprise. So you know that we are using multi-cloud like Azure also, Google Cloud also. So that way, Rancher is supporting multi-cloud, and this is something which is the reality for this. Okay, so some of the huge cases for multi-Kubernetes management is provisioning multi-cloud with Kubernetes. So using you need that functionality when one cloud offers a better solution, lower cost for the high performance, high throughput workloads deployed to any Kubernetes cluster easier across the cloud. Distributed application and multi-site active. You can set it up. Keep cluster sync in real time and to distribute workload continuously and immediately. Multi-cloud monitoring challenges again solved by multi-cloud, multi-Kubernetes management. Standardized monitoring for Kubernetes clustered across any clouds. So that is where the Rancher is coming and helping you to get this all this task done. So guys, did you understand that what is Rancher, all of you?
No, Rajesh. So it is like like a Kubernetes or like it's a version of Kubernetes or like it's a flavor of Kubernetes. What is that? Not clear.
Okay, one more time I'll try. It's not a Kubernetes, first of all. Uh, it's not a Kubernetes. Think about it. This is one cluster, Kubernetes cluster. This is the another one. This is another one. This is another one. This is another one. Now this is for AWS. Now these clusters you have on Azure. Now these clusters you have on Google Cloud. So why we have a Kubernetes? Because to manage multiple nodes, right? Correct now? Where we can deploy the containers through the pod using pod. Agree?
Yeah.
But we need one tool which can manage hundreds and hundreds of Kubernetes cluster for enterprise. Who can do that? And this tool not only can manage all this Kubernetes cluster here, but multi-cloud means AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, and all this benefit which I was uh, talking about, monitoring from one place every clusters. That's the last point. And distribute application deployment, multi-site cloud active. So you can deploy here also active. So how can you do that? And that is where the Rancher is coming in the picture. So Rancher is a Kubernetes management platform for the multi-cloud. Are you understanding now?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, Rajesh. I was not clear. Like we use multi clouds in enterprise, but now I understanding they are using it. So yeah.
Yeah. So what is Rancher? So yes, it's a complete container management platform. You can say Kubernetes management platform also. Licensed with Apache 2.0 and website is rancher.com and so on. So the release which has happened The latest release is I think 2.7.1 Jan 25, and which programming language it has been written. So it has been written most of the code in Go and then partially in Python also. And so these are the contributors for this project because open source. So yeah, Rancher Lab is an open source software company based out of California, United States. They have a multiple open source product focused on containers and Kubernetes space. Rancher is their flagship product. It is an open source Kubernetes management platform for enterprises. Rancher includes everything needed to deploy, operate, and secure multiple Kubernetes cluster across any infrastructure, including AKS, EKS, and GKE on premises and the edge. And Rancher is the most widely used Kubernetes cluster platform with 13,000 GitHub use stars and so on. Now, these are the history of Rancher development 2014 to 2022. So, SUSE has acquired the Rancher in 2022. So, Rancher is owned by SUSE. So, yeah, Rancher reduced the Kubernetes complexity in terms of cluster deployment, operations, security, and management. Deploy and monitor cluster or any infrastructure, centralized security policy management, centralized RBAC control, protect and recovery for clusters, app workload management, ability to deploy, orchestrate apps, integrate CI/CD or GitOps, and container or self-service app catalog. And it's open source with enterprise focus, 100% free and open source. Work with a cluster in any environment, Kubernetes as a service, no vendor lock-in, paid supports available. Now there are some benefits of Rancher. So unified multi-cluster app management. I'll not get into that, but yeah, you can understand that you have a cluster anywhere, anywhere you're hosting it. Rancher can manage it in a simple way. So multi-cluster app management is been given. Now who's using? So more than 400 organizations which is using the Rancher for hosting and managing their Kubernetes cluster. Look at the trends of using the Rancher somewhere in the first three or four and all. So now after understanding what is Rancher and why do we need it, let's focus on the some of the keywords used in the Rancher. So cluster means nothing but a Kubernetes cluster which is talking about. Namespace is again same one, Kubernetes namespace, but in here we can also call it a project. Okay, a node, nothing but the machine which is for the cluster. Pod, you know that. Deployment, you know that. Workload, it can be a pod, it can be a deployment, it can be RC, RS, stateful sets, daemon sets, and all stuff like that. So this is the Kubernetes. Most of the things are Kubernetes actually. Okay, so where you can host the Rancher. So you can host in your Docker container also. You can install in a Docker container also. You can install in Kubernetes cluster also. You can install in a SUSE Rancher hosted also. That means this is a cloud option available by the SUSE. So you can host the Rancher over there also. So these are the three options available for using. Okay, so these are the use cases for Rancher by the IT operation team, including unified multi-cluster management, centralized app catalog, consistent security policies and compliance, hybrid and multi-cloud support, accelerate DevOps adoption. For developer, work with the tools that you already love, deploy complex microservices applications, attract developer talent, demystify service mesh, maximize developer productivity, and accelerate staff onboarding. In terms of technology, DevOps transformation, cloud native transformations you can include. So I'm not discussing this much in detail, but yeah, at a high level you can understand this. Okay, so now In the Rancher, we have so many tools actually available. So just get familiar with it. So I'm teaching you Rancher, but there are so many other products also there. Is there? So managing Kubernetes installed in your local or remote. So here Rancher will help you to manage Kubernetes installed in your local or remote development environment. It's so much easier with Rancher. Now with full support of Windows containers, issue service mesh, and enhanced security for cloud native work. So that's a Rancher which I'm going to teach you. But we have another products also, like just you need to know which you want to implement on Rancher apart from that managing the Kubernetes. So there is one tool which is called Harvester. So Harvester is also given by Rancher itself, Rancher organization, but it's a different product. So Harvester is an open source hyper converged infrastructure software built on Kubernetes. So SCI, do you know any SCI tool?
No, Rajesh.
Uh, I think all of you know that.
No, I don't know myself.
Any tool which is for the coding for infrastructure,
Not aware of.
Terraform, right?
Yeah, there is a tool Terraform. Yeah.
Yeah. So Terraform. So like that. So you can compare Harvester. So you can write a code for Rancher using Harvester. It's like a Terraform. Okay. So another tool which is a new vector. It's another product actually. Other product. So new vector is the only Kubernetes native container security platform that delivers complete container security. That means if you want to implement the security on Rancher platform for the container, you can install separately also. It's not like only on Rancher. But yeah, this is a security provider for containers. There's one more product we have, which is called K3s. So K3s is a lightweight Kubernetes distribution, easy to use and ideal for IoT and Edge. So K3 is a lightweight, certified Kubernetes distribution built for running production workload inside the IoT appliances. Now, IoT means what? So, IoT means,
Internet of
yeah. So, I'll put it in this way. If you want to, sorry, run the Kubernetes, lightweight Kubernetes in the devices, okay, then you can use K3s for, okay, so it's a very lightweight and the size for this package is less than 40 MB. Okay, so have you heard about the Raspberry Pi? Raspberry Pi. Have you heard about this?
no, not yet.
So nowadays the robots and all, and any machines which you see that has intelligence, some software if you want to embed in the hardware, so we use the Raspberry Pi. So you can use that K3s over there. It's very lightweight. RKE2. So RKE2 also you can create a production ready Kubernetes cluster. So Kubernetes distribution focused on enabling federal government compliance based use cases. It is an enterprise ready, lightweight, resilient Kubernetes distribution that is designed to be easy to install and manage. RKE2 is built on top of Kubernetes and uses the container runtime by default, which provide a lightweight, reliable runtime for containers. RKE2 also includes built-in security features such as encryption, node level isolation to ensure the security for your cluster. It can be installed on a variety of platforms, including bare metal, virtual machines, cloud providers using the single binary installation. RKE2 also include the built-in control plane, eliminating the need of external components like etcd. So this is the RKE2. RK2 is the latest one. Older version is RKE. So RKE is a very simple, lightweight uh, utility to install the Kubernetes clusters. So it's lightning fast CNCF certified Kubernetes distribution that runs entirely within the containers and solve the common frustration of installation complexity. So RKE, you can say version 1 and RKE 2 is the version 2. Both using that you can set up a clusters. Now hosted rancher service, this is hosted by SUSE. So if you want to install the rancher at hosted one, then you can use it. Longhorn. What is a Longhorn? So Longhorn is a lightweight, reliable, and powerful distributed block storage system for Kubernetes. So if you want to set up a block storage, Longhorn from the rancher is a good solution. Again, it's a different product. Pack can be used for the ranchers. Longhorn is 100% open source, distributed block storage built for Kubernetes. Although started by Rancher Lab, Longhorn is now CNCF governed project. And when we use the Rancher, Longhorn increases developers and ITOps efficiency by making persistent storage easy to deploy with a single click. So this one more product. Opni. So Opni from the Rancher basically is for the observability monitoring purpose, AI ops and all. So Rancher open source project for network insight is an open source project developed by Rancher Labs to provide network insight and visibility into Kubernetes cluster. So this is used for the observability. Epineo. Okay. So Epineo bring your application from the source code to deployment on Kubernetes and allow developers and operators to work and better work together. So this will help you for the creating an image and deploying the registry and all stuff like that. Q Warden. There's one more tool which will help you to manage the dynamic admission controller that validates incoming request using policies written by a WebAssembly. Rancher desktop. You know the Docker desktop, right? Is getting deprecated. You should migrate to Rancher desktop. If you want to run the containers and Docker Kubernetes in your desktop, okay, so you can use this one. So Rancher support, yeah. So Rancher is open source. Community support is free, but if you want support from the SUSE, it's a paid services. You can avail this. And support. There's some packages out there. I'll just skip this one. Okay, so now all of you understood that what is Rancher, why Rancher, and some of the terminologies around it. Now, this is the architecture of Rancher. So look at this here. So here you have a Kubernetes. Okay, Kubernetes can be from any places like a data center, cloud, and edge, and Rancher server, which is having lots of applications. You see that Rancher server you have supported by Longhorn, Prometheus, Grafana, Helm, Istio, and OPA. And for authentication and authorizations, we have Azure Active Directory, Okta, GitHub, SAML. For operations, you have a centralized cluster provisioning, centralized Kubernetes security application catalog, streamlined Kubernetes operations, workload management, and GitOps at scale. And then you can deploy the cluster that's a downstream cluster in data center, cloud, and edge. And then you can deploy the container in each cluster. So this is the high level architecture which you have. Okay.
Rajesh, can you repeat that one, the previous screen? Like, yeah. So you have GitHub, SAML, Active, Azure, and all, right? So,
These are the authentications actually.
okay. So where exactly
Authentic.
the architecture starts here? Like all these are tools, right? Longhorn,
Yeah,
Grafana.
these all are separate tool for different work. So Rancher server installed. If you want the block storage, configure Longhorn. If you want observability,
Mhm.
Prometheus, Grafana. If you want networking, policies, Istio. If you want security, OPA, Fluentd for trace and all kind of things.
And where do we have this multi-cloud configuration here?
So Rancher server only will help you to set up a multi-cloud configuration below image. Look at this, my cursor. So you can deploy it. So this is called downstream project. So here you can deploy the Kubernetes cluster on AWS,
Mhm.
Azure, or private data centers here. So
Okay.
these all are Kubernetes deployed in different places.
Okay. Okay.
And then inside a Kubernetes, you can deploy the containers through
Then-
a pod.
Okay. Okay. And what is the pod exactly, Rajesh? Pod means like we have like um,
Pod, pod is a, if you want to deploy containers in a Kubernetes, you have to deploy in a form of pod actually. So pod you
okay.
can say is like a wrapper around the containers. Uh, you, in order to understand that, you need to spend time with the Kubernetes topic.
Okay. Okay. I think Kubernetes we haven't started, so that's why I'm trying to understand. Yeah.
Kubernetes is a part of the, I mean, which course you have enrolled for it?
Yes, sorry. But we started Docker. After Docker, we didn't touch Kubernetes. So
Okay. So I think, yeah, I think you are from the latest batch, right?
yeah, yeah. To
Okay,
February.
maybe because, yeah. So for you, the next month also we'll have a session.
Sure. Thanks.
Okay, so here types of downstream Kubernetes cluster. So what are the types of downstream Kubernetes cluster? So here, uh, step number one, Rancher install Kubernetes engine RKE on existing node, creating a custom cluster. That means you can use RKE to create a cluster. So that is downstream. Now, second thing is Rancher launch Kubernetes for nodes hosted on cloud provider also. So that is can be done. Hosted Kubernetes providers like GKE, EKS, AKS, and all you it can be done also, and other mode also. So here this is the downstream cluster. This is the architecture. You see that here. So this is the Rancher server deployed in one Kubernetes cluster. I repeat, Rancher server is deployed in one Kubernetes cluster, and using Rancher server, you are deploying the Kubernetes on AKS and GKS per this image. So this AKS cluster is a downstream project, downstream cluster. This is also downstream cluster, and you can access this Rancher server through UI, API, and all stuff like that. Okay, so this is the detailed architecture of Rancher server. So here you have a Rancher server which includes all this component of Kubernetes, Rancher API server, etcd, controller and all. And there's one controller for each downstream project. So here, downstream user cluster, there's one controller for this and there's another controller for this. And this is a Kubernetes clusters downstream. Okay, so communication with downstream user cluster. So communication, how this Rancher server talk to the downstream cluster. So using the cluster agent. So here you see the cluster agent using tunneling and all has been done. Okay, so these are the utilities which you want to use it. Okay, so I'll just avoid the too much of discussion, and now I'm going for installations of Rancher. So Rancher you can install on many places. So as I said, you can install Rancher on container also using Docker, and Rancher you can install on Kubernetes also. So it's up to you. So here, if you go for Rancher installations, Rancher server installations, and here you see here, if you want Rancher to be installed in non-HA, if you want Rancher to be installed with external database, Rancher to be installed on the here full active HA, you want to install Rancher in ELB and AWS. So many ways to install Rancher actually. This is this is the old documentation. So let me click on the latest one and click here installations, installation reference. See here. installing Docker, you can do that. Uh, Here you can install through the Helm chart also. Okay, install and update. This is on Kubernetes cluster. So multiple ways to install it. It's up to you which one you want it. So I have a Rancher installed in my. I have a sorry not installed. I have a cluster already from the last session which I'm going to use it, which is here. So this is the Kubernetes cluster. I set it up for the last demo. So let me use this. So new.
If you would have any issues with our channel membership, you can drop an email to us at contact@devopsschool.com, or you can also unsubscribe from channel membership anytime if you don't want to continue or did not like the video. Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries. We will reply to them at the earliest. Thanks for watching.